Wow.
Okay, that was going so well.
We're actually going to play this song 100 times.
We
Is
are.
how we're going to get there.
There's a button. There's a button under live that says hide.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that would hide the thing. It stops it, but
It wouldn't be 100th episode if we weren't still learning how to do all this.
no. But welcome everybody, all the tens of listeners that come in to watch us every week, for our 100th episode of Geek Spot News. It has been one hell of a journey. There have been glitches on my end. There have been guest appearances on your end. We've had a hell of a lot of fun overall, in my opinion.
We have, and thanks to everybody that's been around the whole time. Charles, Dom, Dylan here every week. I know we got some listeners out there, Chris, and a few others that download the podcast every week too. So love all you guys. Thanks for keeping us going all this stretch.
I think it's kind of fitting that this whole thing started with you and I, this version, with the Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW. And here we are at 100 episodes, and we're going to talk about the Flash movie. I think it's just a nice little full circle. We couldn't have planned this better if we tried.
It's true. Well, we could have. They could have released the Flash movie 9 years ago when it was supposed to come out.
Yes, they could have. I just got a notice about limited bandwidth, so there might be a reduction in my video quality. So it would not be, as we said, a 100 episode show if there were not glitches and fun stuff.
That's fair. Yeah. So I mean,
Yes.
we'll get to all sorts of spoilery Flash stuff since somehow we both saw it.
Tom loves her. I actually saw stuff.
We should have matched. We should have matched. I do have that shirt upstairs.
I saw one thing 5 years late.
That's actually pretty good for you. What did you finally see 5 years late?
It is. And I mean, we may as well start off with it. I saw Into the Spider-Verse over the weekend. And
not across the Spider-Verse for anybody that's keeping track here.
This is the 2018 Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, it was one of the best movies of 2018, if not the best movie of 2018.
I also stumbled across, I want to make sure that I get the name of this right, because you absolutely are going to love this, since we now, at 100 episodes, are going to become a Friday Night Lights rewatch podcast. I'm kidding. Jack almost left.
I'm sorry, I blacked out when you said Friday Night Lights.
So I stumbled across this podcast that started about almost a year ago called It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights and Beyond, right? And what this is, and we are in no way affiliated with this, but this is a podcast that's hosted by Scott Porter, who played Jason Street in Friday Night Lights, Zach Gilford, who played Matt Sayerson in Friday Night Lights, and Mae Whitman, who did not play anyone on Friday Night Lights, but was in a bunch of stuff, Parenthood and a bunch of other stuff. And she's like a super fan of the show. So I don't know how I did get this job, but, thank you for the congratulations, Brandon. And what they're doing is they're basically going back and they're bringing in, people from the show and stuff like that. And it's an interesting take on the show from an outside or from an inside point of view on how they made certain casting decisions and story beats and stuff. And it's really neat to see that behind the scenes look at that kind of a show so Peter Berg ran the show, and he cast a lot of real life people in the show. Like some of the people in wheelchairs are actually in wheelchairs. Some of the paramedics are actually paramedics. Like instead of going out and hiring actors to do this stuff, they just grabbed people that did these things, like the football players, like they're real football players aside from the actors. It was a nice little kind of peek behind the scenes at that.
That's cool. I'm glad you're enjoying that. I have yet to see. I do not want to see behind the scenes of Friday Night Lights because I've never seen in front of the scenes of Friday Night Lights. So I'm
Yeah.
good holding out on that still. I realized I have quite a few other things to watch. Thanks to Dom for sending all the peeps here to congrat us on 100. Aaron, E. Mario, Crimson Shadow, 745. Thank you all. So I'm glad you finally. I love how fast you pivoted away from finally seeing Into the Spider-Verse 2 right back to Friday Night Lights.
I
It was just like it was great. I loved it. Now about Friday Night Lights. Let's go back to that.
I mean, look, the animation was absolutely outstanding, and the story was really good, and I like the way. So in that, obviously spoilers if you have not seen the 5-year-old Into the Spider-Verse, Miles. Now, does that how Miles becomes Spider-Man in the comics? Does he get bit by a spider also?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's his original origin was Brian Michael Bendis. He was the Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
Then it got twisted back around, and they incorporated him back in because he was such a popular character. And then there was stuff with him and Peter, working together, and they had to reinvent his origin, and much cleaner than some of the multiverse things we've seen.
Well, yeah, I was kind of leading to that. Like, I didn't see him get cut and blood drip in, as it seems to be the Sony way of creating.
Yeah, but it's also a kid's cartoon.
Yeah. You think Peter
No, and you got
been...
him. You got him with the. It's on his hand. It's on the top of his hand.
Right, but he was just bit. It wasn't like he had he got a hole in his chest and a lion stood over top of him and dripped a drop of blood into his chest.
Yeah. I mean, look, we got trailers to talk about. Yeah, don't worry about that. Thanks to Knickerbomb X for the love there too, and Jack. Yes, 100 episodes of Geek Spot News. It only took us 120 some odd weeks. It's actually not awful.
No, not really. We had
considering life can get in the way sometimes of doing these on a weekly basis, and we appreciate all the people, like I said, that stuck with us through all that.
It's going to get in the way next week too.
Is it? Yeah,
I think so.
No, we're good.
No,
well, yours might. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's exciting that you saw that 5-year-old show and found a podcast about a 15-year-old show.
Right.
Good stuff.
Jack, the private party will be in the back room of the Pennant East at 9:00 tonight.
Tommy's already burning incense to get it ready.
Right.
So, yeah, I watched a bunch of stuff. I still have not seen Across the Spider-Verse, so I'm still behind there. That is a this week project.
Yes.
However, I did catch up. I finally saw the Mario Brothers movie yesterday.
Did not.
I know. It's fine.
But it's worth seeing?
It's fine.
Okay.
It was fine.
Okay.
It was like watching a video game. So if you like the Mario video games, the movie's great for you. And I was pleasantly surprised by how little I was annoyed by the voice decisions. So like I didn't mind Chris Pratt or Charlie Day as I thought I was going to in the roles of Mario and Luigi, and they addressed it right up front. And then the way they address it, and then you're into it, and you don't even notice it anymore. So,
wow. Okay.
So you're allowed to go see the Mario movie now, Frank. You're good. It's cleared, but
thank you.
It's not gonna set anything on fire from a innovation standpoint, because the animation is just like watching a video game. I finally saw Scream 6, which if Dylan was here in the chat, he would love it. Scream 6 is great, man. I don't think there's been a bad Scream movie. I got away from it for a little while. I don't think I have seen 4 yet. Mm-hmm. But they continue. The writing continues to lean into like, hey, we're just going to make it schlocky and horror movie-ish, and what can we do to do the next gross out level, and how can we tie it back to the first one and the second, like all these things. And I believe the lead who plays Samantha Carpenter, because they introduced the Carpenters, a nod to John.
Yes. I'm guessing
is actually up for the role of Wonder Woman, possibly in the new DCEU. I think I saw her picture as one of the leads potentially for that actress, which she would do great. I'm with it, and I think she could take it over that role for quite a few years, which would be helpful, as opposed to casting some of the older people they're looking at for things. But I did that, and your favorites. I know you're a huge zombie fan.
I am.
So Fear the Walking Dead wrapped up the first half of their season. After I think it's been 15 years, we said goodbye, and not really spoilers, but spoilers if you haven't watched it. Fear the Walking Dead, just Morgan Jones has left the building on it, but Madison is back this season. You can see all that stuff from the trailers and everything. So, but they brought back the lead character from the first couple seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, and Lenny James has gone back across the pond to home to go work on things there for a while. It seems like, but the show continues to just be pedal to the metal every week, doing innovative new stuff with the way the world works and the way they're approaching these storylines and what they're doing from an examination of what that trauma of being in the apocalypse can do to people and constantly living in a state of losing everyone you love and how you react and what happens. It's really, really great work they're doing writing on that show. And then Dead City premiered this week too. You excited for that one?
I'm not sure what that one is. I was going to tell you how I knew Lenny James, but go ahead.
It's Maggie and Negan from the Walking Dead show are now back because Maggie's goddamn kid, who cannot help but get kidnapped and lost, and this kid. You'd think she would have trained this kid to actually survive, but no, he can't do shit.
I can't believe I didn't know that.
So they have to go to New York though. So it's actually a pretty cool. They have some scenes with like live cockroaches and blended with CGI cockroaches like all over them in the first episode, like digging into the fact that they are in New York City 20 years into an apocalypse, which is pretty cool. But it's them and digging through New York City and tying back to the old show, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
The only new thing I watched this week was Strange New Worlds. The Star Trek show came out last week, and wow! I mean, wow! It's just for a show that only had the captain of the starship in it for 5 minutes. Like they sent Pike away, and then it was more of a Spock kind of stole. So there's a little there's a couple
Discovery or Strange New Worlds?
No, Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
Yeah, Christopher Pike is the captain of the Enterprise.
Right.
We're still about 5 to 7 years away from Kirk taking over the ship. Like this show actually has a shelf life.
Got it.
Because they put it in such a specific period of Star Trek, and Ethan Peck as Spock is sensational. He's so good. One of the only problems I kind of had with this episode was, you remember Star Trek 3, right? Did you see Star Trek 3?
Sure. Is that the search for Spock?
It is the search for Spock.
Then yes, I saw it probably in 1984 when it came out. So it's a little blurry.
No, understandable. I was.
You were in your mid-20s. I know, it's fine.
No, I was. Yeah. No, wait. 84? I was in seventh grade. Seventh grade.
Sure, we'll be nice. Sure.
Yeah. No, eighth grade. Eighth grade. Yep. Sorry, I started high school in '85. Anyway, I digress. In that Search for Spock movie, a big piece of the movie was at the beginning where they stole the Enterprise, and it was such a big deal because of all the rules for Starfleet that they were breaking. As a matter of fact, Kirk, who was an admiral at the time, when they get back from at the end of 4 with the whales, he actually gets demoted back to captain. And the most serious of the charges was disobeying a direct order and theft of the Enterprise. So when this episode, they actually steal the Enterprise in this episode from Space Dock, it kind of lessens that you know what I mean? It kind of lessens that moment that's coming up in history because they already did it once. That aside, it was a great episode, and there were the cast is so good in that show. It's just such a great show.
I'm almost on the point of having to start watching the Star Trek shows because I'm starting to catch up on all my TV, and I'm in that summer lull where today even I was digging through what I want to watch, and I was like, I should go watch like The Flight Attendant finally, and I was like, I got to pay attention to that. I don't know if I can dig in on there, but maybe some Star Trek stuff since is where I need to head.
Yeah, it might be a little easier. I would try and start with Discovery. The first season is a little wonky, but the
Well, or I
second
can
season.
knock out Picard finally, right?
Oh my God, please! You'd make my heart so happy.
All right, we'll
You,
see.
you'd make me so happy.
We'll see. Maybe I'll work
Um,
through Picard the next couple weeks.
and then of course tomorrow. So today is Tuesday, the 20th of June, as we do this live, and then it goes out to the masses. Tomorrow, the 21st of June, we have a new series release.
Star Trek Latrine.
Star Trek Secret Invasion.
Okay. We're moving off Paramount over to Marvel. Yeah, Disney
Well,
Plus.
not so much, but I mean, I
They've been dropping teasers on Twitter for it, but deleting them. You see that?
no.
So they've been dropping teasers on Twitter about Secret Invasion for 5 minutes at a time, and then deleting them from their Twitter feed.
That's kind of funny. I actually got the title right this time, though.
You did. You did.
I keep calling it Secret War.
That's the movie that's coming out in 2035.
Right.
We'll get there though.
Did we talk about? I know I'm jumping all over the place right now, and we're gonna get like the DC stuff is where like the whole kind of meat of the show is gonna end up.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Did we talk about the delays?
No, not yet. But I will say on Secret Invasion before we hit up the delay list. So Marvel did drop their 4th Secret Invasion series now. A few months ago, it was a quick 5-issue run, kind of like a sequel to the big Secret Invasion that happened 10, almost 15 years ago now. That Brian, funny how that name always comes up in comic book adaptations. Brian M. Bendis did, where the Skrulls all invaded. This kind of follow up to that that's centered around Nick Fury and Maria Hill. It's basically like a Maria Hill vehicle. And her and Tony Stark and Nick Fury. It's a great little run. It was like 5 issues, self-contained, in and out. Fantastic. But, calls back into how not all Skrulls are bad, which they haven't ever really touched on in the Marvel universe. There's like 1 or 2, but for the most part, they've all been bad until we get to the cinematic versions with Captain Marvel and things. And by the way, thanks, Jessica, and hi, Ron. Sorry for the delay there. But it's a great little run, and I think it kind of figures into what we're going to see. But it does some cool stuff to set up, Nick's not part of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist. Maria's in the CIA and is the head of their whatever logistics part of it now. And it seems like it's pretty cool, and it was a good setup. They keep doing that where they release comics a few months before these series and movies come out.
I did see first couple episodes were screened by TV critics or whatnot, which I would love to be able to get. If I were able to get early episodes of stuff, I would probably watch more stuff.
It's not true.
You're right. It's not. It was a nice try though. That they're calling this Marvel's Andor.
Well, look, they're due to come back to something that doesn't suck.
Take note, DC.
Yeah.
So a bunch of stuff got delayed, and on the Disney side of things, one thing got moved up. So Deadpool 3 moved up from November 8th, 2024 to May 3rd, 2024.
Which is crazy to me that's a year, not even a year away now.
Right. And
it's the only thing
that's
that's
coming
filming, right?
Well,
Captain America
was
filmed, right?
Maybe.
And I guess the Thunderbolts is done. So what's the order? What's our new release order coming out? So we got, what do we have left this year? We have the Marvels left this year.
I'll pull that in a second. So we have the untitled Star Wars movie debuting on December 8th, 2026.
Okay, we have
Avatar
too. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Avatar stuff really got shifted around.
So next Avatar was supposed to be next year, right? 2024?
Yeah, December 2024.
Okay.
Avatar 3 now goes to December 19th, 2025.
Yeah.
Avatar 4 to 2029. And Avatar 5 to 2031.
Let's talk about how old is James Cameron going to be in 2031 when this Avatar movie is supposedly coming out? Well, I gotta figure this out.
Zoe Saldana is going to be in her 50s when this movie.
But they're already filmed.
Most of them, I don't think the last ones are.
So
are they?
He will only be 77 at that point.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's a lie. No. Yeah, because he'll be 71 next year. So, all right. No, he'll be 70 next year. 70. I can do math, I swear.
Yeah.
James Cameron is younger than I thought. So he was only 30, not even 30 when he did Terminator. Wow.
Yeah. So that's 22 years after the first Avatar will be the last Avatar. As far as movies coming out, according to this now, the next Marvel movie coming out, technically Marvel movie, that we got a trailer for the other day, that basically is basically just Morbius with a lion.
Oh my God. So Kraven the Hunter. Oh God. So I love that character. Right.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna point out as I do, like, this was the first painting picture I put up in this wall when I got this room. It's a signed copy of one of the covers of Kraven's Last Hunt.
That looks like Venom.
This is not. No, it's Spidey in the black costume, which was it was not the symbiote at that point, but it was he was just wearing the black costume at that point.
Gotcha.
This is not the Kraven that I remember at all, and I haven't read much Kraven stuff. But this trailer looks ridiculous, and not like in a great way. In a Sony doesn't care about continuity or like Marvel's actual properties or anything. They just write a movie and then say, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna call this one Kraven, even though it has nothing to do with Kraven's character at all.
Hey, let's cast Russell Crowe in this too, because he's in everything right now.
Yeah, because Zeus is Kraven's dad apparently. I don't know how that got through casting. And then, you know, like Kraven in the comics, since he was introduced, is an older figure. Like Russell Crowe would have been a great Kraven.
No, he wouldn't have.
I mean, his accent wouldn't have worked.
This movie looks.
But like, maybe like 10 years ago, Russell Crowe would have been. But he was always like supposed to be in like his 40s, maybe in his 50s. Older dude, big, had been a safari hunter for years. They kept looking for the next thing to go and kill. He was not an anti-hero. He was not a hero. He's not trying to catch criminals. He just went to hunt stuff and had all this mysticism about him of like how he fought Spider-Man was like eating these herbs and concoctions with like potions with spiders stuff imbued in them. They then gave him the spider strength is how he saw it and things like super crazy dude. They've reintroduced him the last few years in the comics as with his son now, I think they brought in, which is maybe what this is more based off of, because these movies like to think that people actually have still read comics the last 10 years instead of everybody reading the old stuff. Because I think if you look, the internet has made these small portion of the country that actually reads the new content seem much louder than all of us that read it 30 to 40 years ago. And that's what our recollection is of all these comics, which is why it's getting trickier and trickier with what they keep doing. But I think Kraven looks like a fun popcorn movie, but not a Marvel movie at all. It's not.
It looked awful. And I don't even know that much about Kraven, except I know that he's a bad guy, right? And the tease at the end of the Rhino, it looks like that looks awful.
Yeah, look, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because as bad as Morbius was and as bad as the Venom movies were, they're all great popcorn movies. Like the action's great in all of them. They look super slick. And they're fun to like put on in the background. Like, cause I know that they don't effing matter. So like it's fine to just go and just enjoy them for the show that they are and not be worried about like, oh my God, this isn't tying in right. Oh, why are they doing this? Why is that person that, like, you know what I mean? Which is nice sometimes to not have to have everything connected and wonder why it's somebody didn't read another script.
Okay, so here's the new Marvel list. According to this looks like it's right. This is just movies, I think. So Captain America, New World Order, did start filming at the end of March.
Okay.
So it should be done. It had an original May 3rd, 2024 date. It is now July 26, 2024. So that's not too bad. It's just a couple months.
No, and Deadpool took its spot.
Right. The Thunderbolts
was the July release.
That had its shoot halted. It was supposed to be July. It is now December 20th of the same year at this point in time. Right.
Yeah, I don't know about a December release for Thunderbolts. That does not bode well for that movie.
I don't think so. Blade looked to be September 6th, 2024, and now that looks to be pushed back to February 12th,
Yeah, let's
2025.
just Blade's not happening. It's fine.
It's not happening anytime soon. Fantastic Four um, was pushed from February 2025 to May 2025, so that's
It's not
again that's
awful.
not too bad.
I think with Blade, they cut the budget. They cut the budget. They get somebody to write it nice and tight,
Mhm.
and they do it as a Halloween movie this year, and expand out on that Disney Plus Halloween. I get that they want to so the supposed box office of Mahershala Ali, because I don't know that that's ever been proven.
Oh,
Um,
it's not getting proven anytime soon here.
no, or even with his big hits, he's won a lot of acclaim, but I can't say that he's a box office draw.
No.
So, and neither is Jon Snow. Like, the dude's big on HBO, that doesn't translate to the movies.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
So I think you pull them in and put them in a Disney Plus, like the Halloween special. I think that's where your money is with all of that horror stuff. And that would be a much safer and smarter play, and they could probably actually get this stuff done if they weren't worried about all this crazy special effects. And we know the CGI on Disney Plus is going to be garbage anyway. I mean, better than DC, but
Maybe,
I mean, I
maybe
don't know.
not. They fired the
I don't know.
person.
Have you seen some of these movies now? There's only
Yeah.
3 special effects houses, and I don't think any of them can keep up with a single thing they're doing.
So Fantastic Four moved to May 2nd, 2025.
Okay.
And
Someday they'll cast that.
Yeah, we still don't have a cast for that, and that's probably going to be paused again because this writer strike thing does not look like it's ended anytime soon.
No.
This looks like they're digging in for like the long haul. So what that did was that pushed Avengers Kang Dynasty to May 2026, but even that, Jonathan Majors goes to court in August. So that's gonna determine, what happens with a lot of stuff
Well,
because he's pretty
yeah.
central with Loki coming up.
So with that, they usually drop the Legends runs, right?
Right.
They pooled the Legends
I saw
featurette
that.
that would have had Jonathan Majors in it.
Yeah. Avengers Secret Wars, the one that I always get wrong,
Yep.
was May 2026. Now is May 2027. That's a whole year.
Yeah, I think I've said it 100 times. We start to run into problems with these things, and especially when they don't cast super young, which I don't want them to cast super young. But when you drag out these universes, which would now be going on 20 years at that point, like your actors are now 20 years older. The actors in the comic books, they don't age.
I'm not going to remember the first Avengers movie by the time Secret Wars comes out. I'm going to be drooling on myself.
Imagine the kids that are coming up that is like, all right, you're ready for movie number 40? You got to go watch 39 other movies to understand all the references. And like, that's crazy. Oh, and go watch 17 TV series that have come out in the meantime.
Right.
That are all 6 to 7 hours long.
Yeah. I mean,
like it's a lot. The thing is with comics that I don't know when we're going to get to with the movies, or if they're going to just say this is what they're going to do, is with comic books, when you get a new creative team, you kind of do a soft reset, right? You get a new vibe for the character. You might get a new costume. You might cross over with different characters than you used to, and like some stuff still applies, like major deaths and things still apply, but like it might be different. All of a sudden the character might seem a little bit younger and they explain it away by this, or it might be a little bit older, and and then the next run he's a different guy again. I think that's what they're going to have to get to in these movies to end up making them work right, as opposed to trying this 20-year story, because Anthony Mackie will have been in Marvel movies for 15 or 18 years when that comes out, because Captain America's got to be in that, right? Paul Rudd's going to be 75 years old when that comes out.
Yeah, but he'll still look 36.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, we're already getting a little out of control with the CGI for stunts and everything at this point. So I can't imagine how bad it's going to be when you have Michael Douglas in that movie.
He doesn't want to be in that movie. He wants to be killed off the next time he comes back, he said.
Well, he'll either be in Kang Dynasty or in Secret Wars.
That's true.
Look, I think you do a Disney Plus series about Michael Douglas and Janet Van Dyne. about Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne in the early days of Ant-Man and Wasp. I think that's a killer show.
Yeah, but
You make it like the Avengers TV show,
right. But
like
when do you write it? When do you write it? Like we're going to come up to a point now. If this thing lasts much longer, we're going to come up to a point where they're not going to be able to film anything new, and we're going to be a rewatch podcast because there's going to be no damn news to talk about.
Yeah, we still got stuff. Look, we have at least until Deadpool comes out.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Right, because that's new and that didn't get shut down. Same thing. So we got a year. We got a year till we start to see ramifications in the movies. TV will be much faster.
We got Secret Invasion, and then we got Ahsoka coming in August. So that's
and then we have Loki in October, and then we have One Day of Echo. And the Marvels drop somewhere in between all that.
Right. So
and then there's more Daredevil. Maybe we'll get a few episodes. Maybe we'll do a split like every other freaking channel does now.
We'll have done 110 episodes by then.
It's possible.
All right, real fast before we go into the DC stuff. Here's a quick little list. I want to hear how you feel about this one. The 10 best Star Wars lightsaber fighters, as posed by Corey Larson of Screen Rant. This was published 5 hours ago, so this was a fun little stumble upon.
Okay.
Number 10, Rey.
It's generous.
Top 10.
No, I would say no to Rey.
Okay.
Being in the top 10 even.
Number 9, Darth Maul.
He's like much farther up. He's like 4 or 5.
Number 8, Ahsoka.
She should also be farther up. She should be like 6.
Fair. Number 7, Count Dooku.
It's probably not an awful spot for him.
Okay. Here's the one that number 6, and they split this person. It's one person. This Anakin / Darth Vader at 6. How do you put 6?
Yeah. I mean, let's think about the times we've seen him fight with a lightsaber in live action.
But that's live action. You also have to figure there's tons of other mediums out there that we don't see.
There's not with Darth in animation, though. It's all comic books.
Not animation, but there's comics galore.
Yeah, all of the Darth stuff is comic books, though. So I think this is probably based on what we've seen.
Okay.
Right?
It didn't.
We'll see what the next 5 people are, and then we'll determine if it's what we've seen. I think that's a good spot for Darth, though. I don't think Anakin was supposedly great, so Anakin should probably be a little bit higher.
Okay. Number 5, Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's way too low. He should be like 2nd.
Okay. Number 4, Yoda.
Yoda should be number 1.
Fair enough. Number 3, they have Luke Skywalker.
No. He should be like number 9.
Yeah, he was not. Even just
he
based
kept
on
getting shot.
Yeah. Number 2, Palpatine, Darth Sidious.
Never saw him use a lightsaber like once.
Okay. And number 1.
It's gonna be Mace Windu, isn't it?
It's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. So no.
This is the worst list. This might be one of the worst lists I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, because you put Rey on there, you don't put Kylo Ren anywhere in there. Kylo Ren was great.
Right. And you have Mace Windu at number 1 over Yoda.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Let me do the non-spoilery. Where do I have? Okay. So we're gonna go into the DC stuff, and it'll be easier to just say we're spoiling the Flash to kind of go from here. We're not going to review it.
We got some TV stuff before the Flash, though.
We can go TV stuff.
Let's knock that out because there's been some big TV news.
There has, and I forgot to pull that up. Let me get.
So we got Gotham Knights. Sorry, Matt, if you're listening to this, canceled. Not even done their first season yet. Don't even know how it's going to end up. But it's that show has actually continued to get better as it's gone. Where it's starting to grow on me, just like Batwoman did and like Gotham did, where it's kind of leaned into just the stupidity and craziness of it. So it's actually turned into a little bit of a fun watch. And only 2 episodes left for that, so you can binge that when that's all done, Frank. In like 3 weeks. And then I think there's a new episode tonight, actually. And then Superman and Lois has a lot of big news.
Yes, I just pulled that up.
Got renewed for season 4, so it is the last Berlanti show on CW standing. I will not call it an Arrowverse show.
No, but this is also a really neat bookend because Smallville was the first superhero show on the CW, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Superman. And the very last show with a superhero on the CW at this point in time is going to be Superman and Lois. So Superman bookends that whole run of superheroes on CW.
Yeah. Now, some big change. I'm sure you're still behind this season.
I am.
But some
And
huge changes.
yes. So 7 cast members. So they're only going to do 10 episodes next season, I think it was,
which
right?
is fine.
Mm-hmm.
These storylines were drug out into 13, as evidenced by The Flash season 9.
7 cast members are dropped from the main roster to recurring status. Those 7 cast members are Dylan Walsh, who played General Sam Lane.
Yep.
Emmanuel Shakri, who plays Mayor Lana Lang.
Yeah.
Eric Valdez, her ex-husband Kyle Cushing.
Mm-hmm.
Indy Navarrete, who played Lana.
You just
Kyle,
said Lana.
Did I?
Yep.
No. So Emmanuel Shakri is Lana Lang, and then I'm sorry.
Is this Sarah?
Sarah. That's Sarah.
I didn't know. I didn't catch that they were knocking Sarah back too. That's surprising.
They knocked her back. They knocked. I'm not sure how to say his first name. Wole Parks.
Yeah.
As John Henry Irons got knocked back.
That's fine.
Taylor Buck as John Henry's daughter Natalie got knocked back.
Yep.
And Sophia Hasmick, who played Chrissy Beppo.
That's fine. The Beppo Kyle storyline this season is god awful. It's killing me. It's completely unbelievable. Don't buy it at all.
Okay. So
because he's a pretty good looking guy. I'm just saying.
The only 4 remaining regular cast members are Superman, Lois, both the kids, and Michael Cuditz.
Is getting upgraded. He hasn't even been on an episode yet, mind you.
He's getting upgraded to series regular.
We have 2 episodes left this season, and they've been teasing him for 11 of them.
He's going to just pop in at the end, isn't he?
Yeah, for like 2 episodes.
Right.
It's. I mean, the storyline's been great. The storyline's been good this season. I thought they've taken real care with how they have treated Lois's cancer. Which, because every Superman show in every season, right? How do we humanize Superman and make him what's something he can't beat that we can make the storyline, right? To actually make him have to deal with something. What they've done with Lois's cancer and how they've treated and how now she's at the point where this isn't really spoilers, where she's going to have a mastectomy, a double mastectomy because she had breast cancer. They really took care in dealing with that and how she reacted to that as a woman. And losing that part of herself. And she and Lana had some really great moments in the last few weeks where they talked through that and came to terms with it. And, even great stuff with Lois and Clark on that. So I think they really handled that well and done better with that storyline than I had any expectations of a show on the CW doing.
That's good to hear.
Or anything in the DCU at this point doing. DCEU, sorry. But yeah, so I think they've done a really nice job with that. I'm excited to see where they go next year. I'm nervous that we're losing the entire supporting cast for the most part. And
that's
because
rough.
the new Jonathan is fine. But he is a whiny bitch.
Well, wasn't his brother a little bit whiny too at times?
I mean, look, they both are, and I get it, but like the new Jonathan he's a way better actor than the old Jonathan. So he has that going for him. But I don't know how you do the family dynamic with taking away all of the supporting cast for the teens. Like it's going to be weird. So I don't know where they're going to go with it. But
maybe
find out
when
Clark
Clark isn't in the super suit at all.
Look, I'm also nervous about that budget piece because they still spend a lot of money on effects on this show, like a lot of money on effects every week.
Yeah.
So maybe that was their way to keep their effects budget was to cut heads. So if that's the case, then cool, I'm down. So I think that was all the DC news that's official. besides that
Well,
thing that came out? Oh, is there more?
that was all the official stuff, and this is more of a Hollywood Reporter's kind of. James Gunn is screen testing people for Superman.
Oh
His
yeah, I don't know
Superman.
who any of these guys are.
Right. So first, before we get to that, James Gunn confirmed that Blue Beetle is the first superhero to appear on screen for his iteration of the DCU, EU, whatever
Yeah,
the hell it is.
that trailer looks worse every time I see it.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that one. So he's screen testing Nicholas Hoult, who you do know.
Yeah,
He played Beast in X-Men: Days of Future
who was
Past.
also Renfield, and was great in Renfield.
Right.
I think he's a better Lex Luthor than a Superman, but fine.
A show or a movie called Pearl. David
Yeah,
Cornsweet.
Pearl's a horror movie. It's one of a trilogy. It's supposedly fantastic, but I don't know who he is. I've looked at him. He looks fine.
Okay, Greyhound's Tom Brittany is the other.
Well.
So those are the three for Superman. For Lois Lane, they will be testing with Emma Mackey.
Nope, don't know.
I'm not sure who she is. Phoebe Dynevor.
Nope.
And I'm not sure who she is. And Rachel Brosnahan.
Okay, from Marvelous Miss Maisel.
And she's in House of Cards season 1, I believe.
She runs a little old, I would think, for what they're trying to do with it. Unless they're going to introduce the Lois as the older reporter, like but older, not like Smallville older, where she was maybe like a month older, but then they made her seem 3 years older, but she was really like the same age or younger.
Right.
That's fine. I'm more interested in. Oh, and there's that other news about the Batman 2 over there. They have officially announced the director for Batman: The Brave and the Bold, and it will be Andy Muschietti, who's
done a sensational job with the Flash. Don't lie.
That is one way to put it. So I did also see that Jensen Ackles has not said that he is not going to be Batman, and I really hope they cast him, but he's like a little too old.
Yeah,
I mean, he's 44, so let's do the math, right? So movie comes out in 2 years. You're building at least 3 years. It probably 3 years. So he's going to be 47 when it comes out.
He's going to be really close to 50.
You're building at least a 15-year plan. So can you have him playing this role in his 60s?
Yeah, but Michael Keaton just did it.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's get into Flash spoilers. Do we have a thing for it? Probably not. Do we have a thing?
I didn't make a thing up. So you do that real quick. I can talk about a couple other things before we get to the spoiler part. Sasha Calle has spoken with DC about a future as Supergirl. I wouldn't be upset to see that at all. I thought she was one of the bright spots of the movie. But before we go
in it for like 7 minutes, though, I think, right?
Right. So I went on Dom's podcast, not podcast, but I did a review with Dom. Dom posted it to YouTube, to Ace Avenue. Dom and I sat and we had a little chit chat about the Flash. So I got his take. He got my take. I want your take. I want to hear your thoughts on the Flash movie before I get to say anything.
So as I've mentioned more than once on this show, so I have read every Flash comic since '82 in the last few years to make sure that I was caught up in preparation for this movie and in all the Flashpoint iterations and things that they did. I've also said since when was he cast? 2014. Ezra Miller cast when he was 21, I believe, or when they were 21.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, and look, if I mix up pronouns or Frank mixes up pronouns with Ezra, it's not from a point of ignorance. It's just making the mistake. So throw that out there now.
Thank you.
Since Ezra does use the they, them pronoun. However, so I've always had hashtag not my Barry with Ezra because I do not think that they play Barry Allen well. Okay. And the take they did in this movie, I felt like the whole movie was, we want to use these characters. This is who we have to use. How do we write them into a movie? Not let's write the best movie we can. It's this is who we have to play with for the longest time. Because all of it seemed written around the cameos. The Flash story was a weak imitation of Flashpoint, and God forbid they not make, again, spoilers, the big bad Barry for once. Like, I watched this movie 9 seasons in a row on the CW, where everyone was, oh my God, it's a speedster. Oh, and Barry made the speedster. Oh my God, look at that. It's great. Like, okay, we got it. Like, that's just their thing. And it wasn't Reverse Flash. It was Barry. So, like, it was basically the Savitar from season 4 of The Flash on TV is what the whole movie was.
Yep.
So, super disappointed in that. I don't know that Christina Hodson ever watched the show. And I was not a fan of her take on Birds of Prey either. I know that's a hot take. I did enjoy her Bumblebee. So she is now 1 out of 3 for me.
Okay. I like Bumblebee.
But overall, like I appreciated Michael Keaton coming back. I thought there was some okay stuff with him. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's Michael Keaton. I was like, why did they make old man Batman a miserable, crazy shithead in this Wayne Manor? Like, why does he not have the Bat family that we've spent all this time building up everywhere else? And like, you're going to tell me that Bruce just ends up crazy and alone in his mansion in 40 years? Like, that seems weird. And kind of a disservice to the Tim Burton Batman stuff. Right? That he never gets out of his head and goes there, but still has all this tech that's still current, but old, but doesn't work, but he has been retired forever. So I did like Sasha Calle. That was a similar take to the Superman version from the comics.
Correct.
The difference in the comics was they really had to break him out. And he was like super thin and stayed super thin.
I remember
later on, right? Like it was kind of a cool take. And if anybody hasn't seen the Flashpoint Paradox, which is the animated version of this, go watch that because it's way better.
Way better.
And the only other thing I'll say from all that is, like, as I said, not my Barry. I definitely did not need fucking 2 of them the whole movie. Like, it was like so many jokes that I was like, oh my God, okay, I got it. Seth Rogen wrote the screen. Oh, got it. It's okay. It's a Seth Rogen screenplay. Cool. It's all like dick and fart jokes, and like the guy's an idiot, but the other one's way more mature at 27. Or how I couldn't tell how old I was supposed to be.
Right.
Which made it tough that they kept trying to play ages. Because like and they threw they totally rewrote continuity from the Justice League too. Because we played into Barry saying he was meeting people his first year in college, but then he's been at the crime lab for a while, but he doesn't seem like he's been around 7 years as the Flash. And then hold on. So if he got struck by lightning on his 18th birthday when he was in college, he was not a forensic scientist when he got struck by lightning. And if you go by before, he was not in crime labs or anything. In the Justice League, he was still just a student. So they totally screwed that up. But yeah, look, I gave it like a 4.5, 5. DC has just continued to fire on like half cylinders for me for the last like 4 movies. But that's
about where I figured you were going to land.
Most of my take, and I hate where they ended up. I thought it was a cute changeover to again, spoilers, Clooney coming in as Batman. But I was like, well, that just fucks up everything.
Well, so there's a lot. Okay, I got a lot about this. I'll give a brief thoughts on it.
So I haven't had a chance to listen to you and Dom's take yet, and I'm, as although they should, I'm sure some of our listeners have not had a chance to catch that review from over the weekend yet. So what were your thoughts?
So I gave it a 6.5, but I gave it a 6.5 more for the cameos that we got than for the actual story of the show. The opening sequence was really, really good. Okay. The opening sequence was really good. Ben Affleck was great as Batman.
Oh, agreed.
And I felt like he really finally got the character perfect. And it's like, okay, goodbye. So the bike was great. The only thing I didn't like about the opening sequence, the CGI with the babies was really terrible. Like
Oh,
really,
and
really bad.
we shoved the baby in a microwave and closed the door. What the fuck was that? Like not
But he
like
was
safe.
but he
Like you lit and oh, don't get me started on
super
the
speed.
intro. Yeah, but look,
Uh,
sorry, hold on,
and
because
I
I'm about to rant
definitely
on this.
definitely didn't like go ahead. Go ahead.
So
No,
I
go ahead.
mean, the
Please
physics
do.
involved with the opening scene, right? Like just because he's moving super fast doesn't mean they're not still falling really fast, right?
Mhm.
Like they're still falling, and he just puts them all on a cart and it's fine and nothing happens to all of these little babies that I don't know why they had to do babies in the first scene. Like it was just it was a fine sight gag, but it was the CGI was so bad. And like I'm watching it the whole time going, yeah, that wouldn't work. No, nope, nope, nope. And making
I
him dumbass the whole intro and the calories thing. God damn it with the calories thing. That was a Wally West thing.
see,
Anyway,
I like
back
the
to you.
calories, and I like the calorie counter. Like I like that little bit of it, and I
Yeah, but then it
enjoyed.
didn't matter again
I
the rest
love.
of the movie.
Well, no, but I love Jeremy Irons back because I love him in general.
Yeah.
He was great as Alfred in every way he played him. The scene where he's falling off the thing, the bridge, and she comes with the lasso again with the lasso trick and the stupid gags with the sex and the and him and like that part of it could have done without that whole part of it. Um, we did get in the very beginning, we did get Henry Cavill. Um, they kind of showed the back of him fighting a volcano or something like that. It
Oh
was like
yeah,
the
yeah,
very
yeah.
back of him. So like it was, almost a little bit of a sight gag to explain him away for now. Um, I didn't hate the acting. I didn't hate Ezra's acting around his mom, and I say his because Barry is. I'm gonna call him Barry so I don't screw the pronoun thing up. I didn't hate that Barry's acting around his mom and the sentimentality towards that part of it. Scene at the end with the soup and like the soup the pot the tomato sauce. I that was decent acting. That was a touchy moment.
Yeah.
Uh, the the rest of it, I liked Keaton and I, it wasn't a good movie. It was really long. It was really really
Yeah.
long. Um, there's a script written for a second movie,
Oh
but
god.
in order for this movie to be made, it has to hit a certain trigger at the box office. The trigger at the box office is I want to say so far it earned 75.7 million opening weekend. The trigger is where is it? I just had this.
It has
Uh,
to be 600 because the movie they need 400 to break even.
It was 7, I believe. It
Yeah.
has to come close to the Batman 770.
Well, thank God we
It's
won't
not
get a
gonna
sequel
go
then.
anywhere near that. If this thing makes 300 million at the box office, I'll be shocked.
No, it beat 4 movies opening weekends,
But
and 3 of them were open during the pandemic.
right, but what's coming? Yeah, like I mean,
And like the only movies it beat was Shazam, Shazam 2,
mm,
Wonder Woman 2,
mhm.
1984, Birds of Prey, and The Suicide Squad. 2 of those were barely released, weren't even released in theaters really. But those are the only DCU movies that it beat. Just for Dom from earlier, rated out of 10, I think I said like a 4.5 maybe. I was not I was annoyed a lot of the movie. Um, one weird choice with the mom.
Yeah,
I don't understand. It's fine, but I don't understand why we felt the need to make her Latino and why we dug into that like hard. It seemed
but
for
Barry,
the little Jewish Dutch German Ezra Miller to play her son. Like if it would have been like if Ezra was of like Hispanic descent, like cool. I get that
sure,
you're tying it into the actor. That's great casting,
sure,
you know,
sure.
and tied in. But again, Jewish Dutch German. doesn't really play that for me. So I didn't understand why they went that route with it.
No.
And some of the other just things like the frat boy stuff at his apartment when we went back and had to see Patty
Yeah.
Spivot again for some reason.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the fact that was Patty Spivot who in the CW Flash was a cop.
Had too much
And-
chemistry with him. They got rid of her.
Yeah. I mean, that was a really good character. And that was the other thing before I go into the cameos, which is basically the crown jewel for me. It felt like the Barry Iris thing was so forced and shoehorned into this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was no time for that to breathe or to grow. He didn't run into her in the past. Like there was there was nothing to that at all.
And they have even less chemistry than Candace Patton and Grant Gustin, who have no chemistry in my opinion.
They had way more chemistry than these two did.
Yeah, like none. Like nothing that strikes like this is the girl. Not any way that Ezra played it towards her.
No,
not any way she played it back where she was actually interested. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So,
and I kept hearing rave reviews about her performance in Justice League. I'm like, I don't know. She walked across the street and got sucked up by a hurricane that he made.
I don't know what the hell movie Tom Cruise watched.
I don't either.
So the cameos,
unless he doesn't know anything about superhero stuff, so he just went to watch and enjoy, right? Like that's, and I talk about it all the time, right? Like that's where my problem is falling into, and I think a lot of people that know the lore, I already had this movie written in my head, and none of this was it.
No, even as an adaptation, it still wasn't good. Michael Shannon didn't even know what the hell he did.
No, like the and that we had to make, all of the past changed too. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
So the chrono bubble, as it was known to be called, when he was doing the going back in time thing, that could have been a seriously awesome effect. The visual effects in that were bad, but they're so bad that the director had to come out and say that was intentional. Is I don't know if he's covering up. And let me tell you, when they first started showing the big globes, the worlds, I honestly thought we were getting Green Lanterns at that point. Like the bright red green ball, the bright red yellow ball. Like I thought, oh shit, Green Lanterns are showing up. That's going to be cool.
The Titans TV show had better time traveling multiverse effects than this movie.
So as far as time,
they also had a better Flash.
The cameos in the different worlds that were colliding.
Yeah.
We got black and white Superman, George Reeves.
Yep.
Great nod. Loved it. We got a Jay Garrick Flash, but it was not Teddy Sears. It looked
or what's his name?
John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah.
It was neither of them. It looked like Teddy Sears, and I thought that was a thing. And Teddy came out and was like, dude, that's not me.
No, it would have been great if that was Grant Gustin. That would have been a cameo right there. You do him as the old school Flash. Oh, my God.
So we get generic Jay Garrick, and then we get what was one of my two favorite little cameos of the whole thing. We get Christopher Reeve Superman, and that was a CGI'd thing because Superman and Helen Slater as Supergirl appeared together, looking and watching the worlds collide
with super blurry CGI to make sure that it was like it's kind of them,
right? Who never appeared on screen together.
No, because I don't think they were the same. They weren't the same universe.
No,
in the movies, the movies were two different. They weren't the same universe in the movies.
We got Adam West, Cesar Romero, and Burt Ward.
Yep,
it was like a blink and you miss it kind of.
Yeah, running down a hallway.
And then the second greatest cameo of the entire movie was the Nick Cage cameo. Nick Cage fighting a giant mechanical spider was the greatest piece of that movie. And I now need Nick Cage as Superman. I need a one-off Nick Cage Superman movie. After seeing that.
So Kevin Smith, fan of the show, friend of the show, he is doing a reading.
Did he cry?
Of his Superman Live script at Smodcastle Cinema in Highlands, Atlantic Highlands. I think this weekend actually.
I would pay anything to go see that. The fact that they had him fighting a giant mechanical spider, which is exactly what the studio wanted when he wrote his script, because I just
Yeah.
went back and I watched him tell that story from 14 years ago, and it's still freaking funny.
There's a whole documentary. Did you ever see the documentary?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where the
But I just
producer that wanted it is like, oh my god, we had to have this spider.
yeah. Oh no, that's the greatest. It's the story that he tells is the best. Um, and then at the very end, we had the George Clooney Batman, or Bruce Wayne, which I personally really enjoyed the tongue in cheek joke. We don't have time to do it, but there are 3 endings to this movie shot, and Cavill and Gal Gadot were supposed to be the actual ending of this movie, but
With
because of all
Batfleck.
constant and that was supposed to be the next step forward in this DCU,
Right.
but because of the constant changes, that got scrapped. And there was another one. The George Clooney thing only came up 3 weeks before the movie came out, or
Yeah.
something.
Well, because then then they were going to have Sasha Calle and Keaton.
Yes,
Was
that
the
was
second
the other
one, because
Right.
Keaton was supposed to be in this, Batgirl, and Aquaman.
Right.
But so now, if we have maybe we get Clooney in Aquaman and not Affleck, but we know Affleck's in Aquaman. So now, when the hell does Aquaman happen?
Well, I didn't stay and watch the end credit scene, and I'm glad I didn't, because it really was pointless to everything. Like, it just didn't make any sense from what I was reading.
Oh, it was just him and it was to get Momoa in the movie is all it was. Momoa is only free this day,
Right.
and only with Ezra is how
And
that was.
we're
It was
gonna have you
awful.
face down. We're gonna have you face down in a puddle for half of it.
Yeah, it was bad.
This movie had a lot of hype coming into it, and I kind of, after the Tom Cruise thing, I was really kind of excited about the movie a little bit, and then as soon as I went at 5:30 after working all day, went right from work to the movie theater, and I almost fell asleep 3 times.
I went in on Saturday afternoon. I fell asleep quite a bit during the initial Keaton stuff, because I was so tired of dealing with 2 Ezras for 40 minutes already.
Yeah, it's a shame that the movie sucked as bad as it did. There is Sasha Calle said there is an R-rated, longer version of her escape from
4-hour director's cut.
It'll come.
Muschietti, they're already requesting it. Did you know that the original commissioning of this movie? Hold on, because I have this up, and I know we're over, but we got to talk through this. Hold on, where to go? So let me just go through the development history of this movie.
Yes.
So in 2006, they gave the first pick to David Goyer, who ended up doing the Suicide Squad, to write the film based for the character of his choice. He picked the Flash. That was in 2006. Didn't work out. 2010, they hired Greg Berlanti, Michael Green, and Mark Guggenheim to write a take on it. In 2014, it was rumored that would release in 2017 following Justice League and Wonder Woman. Then that fell through. Then they went for Seth Grahame-Smith in 2015 was supposed to come in. Then that fell through for creative differences. Then in 2016, it was announced that Rick Famuyiwa from Mandalorian fame now was brought onto it. He then left for creative differences. That was supposed to have started filming in 2017. And then they hired Joby Harold to rewrite the script. And that's when it was announced it was going to be Flashpoint. And they hired John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein in 2018, January, to then write and direct the film again. They left due to creative differences in February of the following year, or March of the following year. And then Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison were writing the script. And then in 2019, Andy Muschietti came on after they officially got rid of everybody else, and Christina Hodson came on to write it. So that was 2019. So between 2014 and 19, this movie had 6 different showrunners, or 6 different directors, writers, all those things. And this is the best thing they came up with out of all of that.
Unbelievable.
Right?
It's
like so crazy that it went through all that, and this is the crap. Look, it's like Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There was just too many hands that got on it.
Yep.
Or Solo, like just you just get too many points of view, and none of the I'm hoping James Gunn can turn that around for the DCU, but I don't believe it yet, because he also sold us a bill of goods with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of had to say it was good. Just
I mean, he wasn't going to say it sucks, but
right. I think he was playing a political game, saying it was good to just whatever. Next week we should, if we go, it might be Monday, it might be Tuesday. We'll see. I know you're traveling and I'm traveling and coming home. Hopefully, we have Secret Invasion, which will be good to talk about. That starts, as I said, the day after this drops, and a new Star Trek episode that I can kind of give a gloss over.
Yeah, and I'll have some other stuff caught up. We'll be another episode of Dead City in. We'll have some other things popping up. Hopefully, now that we got the Flash out of the way, we'll get some better DC news coming up, because they can still do casting even though they can't write a word.
Nope.
But really, just everybody that's still on here, thanks for keeping us around for 100 episodes and listening, and joining us on Monday nights and joining in the conversation like we always ask. Make sure you tell another friend, tell them about the podcast, tell them they don't even have to have a video up; they can listen to us while they're driving around. Just tell them to listen to us that way. They can find us on Apple, Google, wherever. Drop us that 5-star rating, give us a review. We'd appreciate it. And
thank you, Dom.
Thanks as always for finding the Geek Spot.
Good night, everybody.